Hey everyone, Douglas Blair Roberts here, the Super Beta 400, Mr. the Fanboy, and of course the Brown Skin Human. Come back at you with another professional wrestling series of reviews. And as you can see by the title, this is my Impact Wrestling pay-per-view in 2019 review. The very first one we're going to start off with is Bound for Glory 2019. Been trying to do this video for some time now, but for some odd reason I've always wanted to go in order and start with early 2019, even though early 2019 is nowhere near as good as mid to late to mid 2019. So with this pay-per-view series, I'm going to start off I'm going to start off with the best and go all the way to the least and worst. And the best show was Impact Wrestling Bound for Glory 2019. That will be reviewed right here in this off-camera portion. Then the match reviews will be when when I um when I make my grand entrance on will be on camera. Will be on camera. The match reviews of the Battle Royal, Ken Shamrock versus Moose, and the main event of Brian Cage versus Sami Callihan. Those are the three matches that will be reviewed. For the other ones, Slammiversary, Rebellion, Homecoming, and any of the one night only shows I can still find. There will be a part two. There will be a part two. There will be a part two. Quote unquote. There will be a quote unquote part two narration. There will be a part. Two, there will be a part two webcam. The part two off-camera webcam narration. Then the match reviews and rants for those respective shows. But yeah, let's so yeah. Yeah, this is also a remake of another video I've done, but I haven't uploaded yet. I did another one where I reviewed the show separately and the matches separately, but I never uploaded that one. That one may be uploaded in the future. It's on my channel, but it's in private. Then there was another one, and then there was another series I was gonna do, and that was of course the audio narration with pictures. That's taking longer than usual, so that will be sometime in the future. Also, this will only have one to three match reviews. But in the future, since I like this show and many more so much, I might review them and review the other matches on the card too. Since I like rewatching this show, and the links, of course, are still available. For those of you who want the links, just comment on the video, and I'll give you the links to watch these events. Don't feel like putting them all in there, but I may put them in there if I remember. So yeah, Bound for Glory 2019. What a phenomenal pay-per-view it was from beginning to end. The entire card. I enjoyed every match, with of course the main events and the opener being the best. And those are the two matches I chose to review first. That's why this review took so long. It's nearly like 1 to 2 years late, 1.5 years late because I couldn't decide what to review first. I wanted to review everything, but that was taking too long. So I decided to review my favorite stuff from the card, my favorite, most preferred stuff to watch. But I enjoy everything. In the opener, you had Eddie Edwards defeating Joey Ryan, Renault Scum, Rohit Raju, Gama Singh, Tommy Dreamer, Johnny Swinger, Sabu, Mahabali Shira, who he pinned last, Mahabali Shira, and and um and several women, Swoggle, and Jake and Cody Deaner to win the Call Your Shot Battle Royal for a match for a title match of his choosing anytime he won in this Battle Royal right here. Awesome match. I'm just mad that wrestlers like Petey Williams, Aiden Prince, and T.J. Perkins were nowhere near this match. Were quote unquote nowhere near this match. They would have made it even much more exciting. X Division guys. But yeah, it was awesome seeing Joey Ryan again, who got the loudest pop of the night, followed by the debuting Kali Ray. Wish Johnny Swinger could have done more too. He had a brief spot in this match too. Um, then you had Michael Logan defeating Marufuji in a pretty good match. Nothing special, but a great match nonetheless. Then you had the tag team match with Rhino, RVD, taking on the North. And this is interesting right here because I wanted RVD and Rhino to defeat the North, Ethan Page and Josh Alexander, the North. But RVD, for the first time since 1997 and the Alliance days, turned heel by turning on Rhino in the match. I remember I was mad at the time, but I can congratulate Impact Wrestling for having the balls to do something like that. Used to do something like that in 2019. Still trying to make the RVD character, who was really just here for nostalgia matches, try to make him briefly relevant in try to make not try to make his try to upgrade and evolve his character more from what it was in the past. I respect Impact Wrestling for that, and I'm sad that he's no longer in Impact Wrestling. He had a lot of people I wanted him to feud with and face before he departed from Impact Wrestling. Next is so, and with Rhino, with RV turning on Rhino, that allowed Ethan Page and Josh Alexander to retain. Then you had the four-way person X Division ladder match between Jake Christ, and Ace Austin, two of the wrestlers I wanted to win. The newly debuted Ace Romero, and Tessa Blanker, awesome match. Only thing I hate about this match is Tessa Blanker, because we see what happened. We saw Tessa Blanker's true colors when the COVID-19 pandemic hit, and I wish that Impact Wrestling did not dedicate so much time pushing her, because that caused a lot of wrestlers like Brian Cage, Killer Cross, and many more to leave. That also caused Eli Drake to leave. So I'm a huge fan of Tessa Blanchard as a wrestler. I have a huge hatred for her as a person, for the harm she's done to Impact Wrestling Wrestling. But the right guy won here. Ace Austin won this awesome match right here. Then you had the main events: Moose versus King Shamrock, football versus MMA, and Shamrock at 56 years old tore it up. Both him and Moose played their roles and characters well, but Shamrock at 55 years old tore it up, and in 2020 at 56 years old still tore it up. Ken Shamrock, the first and original, and currently the new Brian Cage is Ken Shamrock. Then after that, main event: Brian Cage versus Sami Callihan. Another tough physical match between two of the toughest and biggest and strongest wrestlers in Impact Wrestling, Brian Cage and Callihan. And boy, was it an awesome match. Some people say Callihan should have won here. Probably should have, especially after that awesome promo he cut in the beginning, talking about his whole career and each crime he committed in wrestling. But I've wanted the Machine to hold on to that belt for a long time. Callahan would later dethrone him for the belt on an Impact after this. But Brian Cage, man, was this a phenomenal match, man. And Brian Cage came out dressed as Wolverine earlier in the match. So yeah, this was Impact Wrestling Bound for Glory. Also, the One Shots to Glory song that played in the theme song, that played in the intro, that was good. That was good too. So, and this had probably one of the largest crowds of Impact Wrestling. So, like I said, a phenomenal card, man. Well, let me get started with the intro right now. Now it's time for the now it's time for my part two. This is time for my part two results portion of Impact Wrestling Rebellion. The first match of the night was one of my all-time favorites from this card. That was Ace Austin. Ace Austin defeating Aiden Prince, Eddie Edwards, Jake Christ, Jake Diener, and Petey Williams in a six-way opening X Division TV title style of match. Then you had in the next match, intergender match, Scarlett Bordeaux with followed by defeating Rohit Raju with Gama Singh and Raj Singh. Don't remember those two out there, but this was a awesome intergender match and one of my favorites from the card. Then Moose and the North, Ethan Page and Josh Alexander defeating the Rascals, Desmond Xavier, Trey Miguel, and Zachary Wentz in a six-man tag team match. This was the Rascals' first big feud here. New Moose and then would pick up the win, but this was the first big feud. Before this, the Rascals were just three X Division guys wrestling six man and double man tag team spot fest cruiserweight style of matches. This was their first big storyline, and they will become bigger fixtures of Impact Wrestling in 2020 up until their departure, which I'm still angry about to this day. Next is Talia Valkyrie defeating Jordan Grants for the Impact Wrestling Knockouts Championship. That was pretty good. Then Rich Swann defeating Sami Callihan by submission in an Ohio Rules match for the Impact Wrestling X Division Championship. This match right here, this match right here, and this was where Rich Swann started earning my respect. At first, I kind of hated Rich Swann and Willie Mack in Impact Wrestling and in Major League Wrestling, which they were also in at the time, because I felt in both of these companies had big time superstar wrestlers with some kind of gimmick, some kind of character. Then you had these two who were just two dancing black guys from the street, two dancing talk about generic, but Sami Callihan, Johnny Impact before he left, Johnny Impact, Michael Logan, Brian Cage, and Eric Young. Eric Young the most. Eric Young and Ken Shamrock put this kid over strong, and now he's one of the best wrestlers in Impact. He's not my favorite, but I'm now a huge fan of his and respect him as Impact Wrestling champion. Now, so yeah, and it all started with this feud right here. Next was Tessa Blanchard defeating Gail Kim by submission, beginning her face turn after the match and her big push, which at the time I thought was a good thing. Now I regret and wish Impact Wrestling didn't push Tessa Blanchard as strong as they did, Then you had the main event, Brian Cage taking on Johnny Impact with Johnny Bravo and Talia Valkyrie and upsetting him with Lance Storm as special guest referee and upsetting him and winning the Impact Wrestling World Heavyweight Championship with a drill claw, then being laid out by Michael Logan, the debuting Michael Logan, who laid him out after the match was over with a backhand slap followed by a spinning powerbomb. Then in the real main event, the Brian Cage and Impact was the main event for me, but in the real main event, the Latin American Exchange, Santana and Ortiz with Conan defeated the Lucha Brothers, Pentagon and Phoenix and Pentagon Jr. in a Full Metal Mayhem match for the Impact Wrestling World Heavyweight Championship. That was a great match, but I did not want to see that after seeing Brian Cage and Impact. So yeah, this was the results portion. Get ready for the 4 match reviews. Alright, first match. I'm going to talk about, like I said, in the part 2 off camera results review. First match is the big X Division 6-way between between Jake Diener, Ace Austin, Aiden Prince, Petey Williams, and of course, um, Eddie Edwards and Jake Christ. So let me start the match right now. What a phenomenal X Division match to start the night. There was way too many awesome moves and way too many spots to call, which is why this video took so long. But what an awesome X Division match. The match started off with um, with all the X Division wrestlers going after each other in the fight, immediately spilling to the outside, leaving only I think Ace Austin, leaving only Ace Austin and Aiden Prince in the ring. Both Ace Austin and Aiden Prince did some cool moves. Did some cool moves with Ace Austin doing numerous Izagiri's springboard. Yeah, gave Aiden Prince a springboard. Izagiri gave him Aiden Prince a springboard. Gave Aiden Prince a springboard. Izagiri. Then Aiden Prince dived over the ropes onto everyone. Then Ace Austin followed with with Jake Christ coming from behind and giving him a cutter as he tried that maneuver, landing on everyone, landing on quote unquote everyone. Meanwhile, back in the ring, Ace Austin did a back suplex, did an enziguri into a back suplex pin, and another move I can't remember. Like I said, there was so many cool moves, man. It was like like watching a video game. Multiple people play a video game, play a multiplayer wrestling match, video game. Then the other wrestlers did the other wrestlers all hit their moves, all hit their signature maneuvers, but it was Petey with the Canadian Destroyer onto Jake Diener, and he appeared to get it, but Ace Austin came and stole it. Setting up the rivalry between him and Petey Williams. Like I said, it was just way too. Sorry if I'm not listing all the moves in the match, but there was just way too many moves to call. But an awesome X Division match to start the show. And I'm angry that Aiden Prince hasn't been seen on the show, hasn't been seen in Impact since this show. I'm mad at it. Impact Wrestling has yet to sign this guy to a full contract. It's like I said in plenty of videos. Aiden Prince reminds me of a young babyface Chris Sabin. Ace Austin reminds me of a heel Chris Sabin. They give Ace Austin comparisons to AJ Styles. In my opinion, he's already better than AJ Styles was at that time. AJ Styles didn't have much of a character. Ace Austin has the cool like Gambit, the cool Gambit character. Ace Austin reminds me of heel Chris Sabin. Or right before he turned heel in 2000. Heel Sabin and in 2006 Sabin, right before he turned heel. So that's the way Austin reminds me of it. I'm mad Aiden Prince hasn't been seen since this pay-per-view. They've never signed him to a full-time Impact Wrestling contract. But like I said, an awesome match to start the show. Probably is not as good or memorable or as iconic as that legendary six-way X Division match from Impact Wrestling Redemption, which is one of the best X Division cruiserweight television TV title style matches I've ever seen, because this one didn't have Brian Cage. Brian Cage this year was in the main events. So that's that. The Scarlet Vado, Rohit Raju, and Boots and Rascal matches are next. Now it's time for two match reviews, and that is Rohit Raju taking on Scarlet Vado, and Moose teaming with Josh Alexander and Ethan Page taking on the Rascals, Zachary Wins, Desmond Xavier, and Trey Miguel. There will be no matches playing in the background. Anyway, these two matches right here were surprisingly awesome, especially the Rohit Raju match, which I'm not going to talk long about this match, but this was a great intergender match with Rohit Raju putting over Scarlet Vado strong. Scarlett Bordeaux strong, taking a crossface from her and a German suplex, while also out wrestling and outmaneuvering her. She won with assistance from Fallah Bah. Like I said, I love Rohit Raju. Finally happy he's getting the respect and the recognition he deserves now. But this guy was such an awesome, in 2018 and most of 19 was an awesome comedy jobber, take, taking the most hilarious beatings ever. And he is actually a great wrestler. He looks like the Indian character you see in video games and in combat sports, which is what he looks like. So yeah, he is legit, and this was an awesome match right here. Then you got the second match. You got Moose teaming with Ethan Page, Josh Alexander taking on the Rascals in 2019, and especially in 20. The Rascals, they were starting to step up in Impact Wrestling and become permanent fixtures there. Instead of just being lame spot fest monkeys at the beginning of the show, they started participating in big time storylines. And this one right here was their first big time storyline, working with primetime player Moose. And everyone played their parts right with the Rascals. Immediately, Trey Miguel started off with his cool martial arts kicks to Moose. But Moose got him with the elbow. Then the other two Rascals came in, did some cool things, but Moose overpowered both of them, and Trey Miguel turned his back and got thrown in the corner and abused by Moose and the other three. The after the Rascals did a cool triple team maneuver on Moose and I think the North. Moose won with a spear to one of them for the 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. I also love these segments leading up to this where Moose interfered on their came into their room and started quote unquote punching them, and took one of their shades. So this right here was what you got. After this, Moose would move on to a feud with the ECW originals. So those were these two matches right here. Now for the main event, or what I consider the main event for me, and that was Johnny Impact defending his title against Brian Cage. Hey everyone, it's now time for my final match review, and this time we're looking at Brian Cage versus Johnny Impact for the Impact Wrestling World Heavyweight Championship. For me, this was the Impact Wrestling Rebellion main event. So with that being said, let's get started right now.
Bravo, we're tired of getting fouled. No, I tell you, he is putting it all on the line. Look, gonna hook him now. Cage, we're gonna put away Johnny Impact early.
This was a pretty good main event to close the show. I think Impact and Cage probably had a better work match at the Impact Wrestling homecoming show, which was several months before this, which was 3 months before this show right here. This was still an awesome match. Especially the end and what happened after. I'm also gonna rant on what happened after because I have a huge problems with what happened after this match. Well, anyway, after both men made their awesome, epic entrances with Brian Cage coming out as the Terminator or Wolverine, I can't remember, but he came out as one of those after the announcements, the match started. Brian Cage did the Brock Lesnar moves, the body tackle or double leg into corner, and multiple shoulder blocks, and did his signature maneuvers, the clotheslines followed by the enziguri kick into German suplex. He would later suplex in the ring Impact would try a headlock, but Cage powered out of it and gave him a brutal shoulder block. Shoulder block. Cage controlled most of the match with Johnny Impact using everything in his disposal to win the match. One cool brutal move was sorry about that was Brian Cage Brian Cage Impact doing a flipping Uranagi slam, which is a moonsault rock bottom off the apron, onto the hard Impact Wrestling mats to the outside. There was no, I don't recall, there was no table. Cage actually hit that hard mat, mat. It was a brutal sick spot. Then they got back inside the ring. John E. Bravo interfered. Johnny Bravo interfered, causing Lance Storm, who was the special guest enforcer, and the secondary referee came in and nailed Bravo with a super kick, and they was about to disqualify Impact, but Brian Cage saw, no, I can win the title. He blocked with his hand. He blocked the disqualification. Said, no, don't ring that bell, and he hit the drill claw on Impact for the 1, 2, 3. Brian Cage is your new Impact Wrestling World Heavyweight Champion. I was going through a lot of personal issues in real life when this happened, but it sucks that this awesome moment had to happen at these awesome moments in wrestling had to happen at terrible points in my life. But this match right here was awesome. This was an epic moment. Wish it could have been like built better, or this card could have been structured better, and the crowd could have responded better. But it wasn't over. After that, Michael Logan made his way to the ring and laid out Brian Cage with a slap, followed by a spinning power bomb. Michael Logan up until Joey Ryan, Matt Cardona, and Brian Myers of today. Michael Logan had the best theme in wrestling. Now those three wrestlers I just mentioned have the best themes in all of pro wrestling now. And don't forget Kenny Omega. Kenny Omega's battle cry. So yeah, awesome moment here. Now let's go to the rant part. This wasn't the main event, even though this was for the world title. I said the main event. Now the main event was LAX versus Pentagon and Phoenix Star. Now this was a pretty good feud, but I didn't want to see this after seeing Brian Cage and Impact, and every other match on this card I saw. I didn't want to see this right here. Sorry about that. I didn't want to see this right here. So horrible card structure in both this pay-per-view and the next one I'm about to talk about, Slammiversary, had back-to-back terrible card structure. Slammiversaries was even worse when we get to the main event of that show. But other than that, an awesome pay-per-view, another awesome and solid pay-per-view from Impact Wrestling, and an awesome series of matches. Like I said, this was the shorter version. In the future, I definitely enjoyed watching this show. In the future, I'll probably do a longer version reviewing all of the matches. Also, another problem I had was, once again, message me for the links if they're not in the description box below. Message me for the links, because another problem I have with this show, there are no good links to this show anymore. To this quote unquote show anymore. There's a terrible, I want the link you're listening to in the background is a terrible link at the is a terrible Daily Motion link at the bottom. It's an 8-part Daily Motion link at the bottom with the sound out of sync. So yeah, the other ones are no longer missing. So I guess you need the Impact Wrestling Plus or DVDs if Impact still makes them to watch this pay-per-view in its entirety. Well, I'm finished. You don't want to hear the rest of the music. Turn the video off right now.
As his sights on Brian Cage. The check. Oh, off the second. Speared Cage and Cage is down. Crawls into the cover. Hooks the outside leg and Brian Cage just barely got the shoulder up at 2. Barely. You gotta wonder, Lance Storm wouldn't let this end on a count out. Is he gonna let it end on a blood stoppage? I don't know. We're gonna find out right now. Referee.